Alright, what's up everybody? Back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today is another episode of the Look In series, and this one is about the Miami Heat after losing in the NBA Finals. A lot to talk about with this Heat team that really surprised everybody. We're going to get into it, the entire thing, their season, their playoff run, and what potentially their future could look like this offseason. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn on notifications, all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Look at the analytics, about a little bit less than 1% of you that actually watch the videos are subscribed. So, if you're watching, hit subscribe. I really would appreciate it a whole lot. And yeah, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the Miami Heat this season, they finished with a 44-38 record, finished in the play-in. The regular season was very crazy. After last year, they were a top seed in the East. They're one shot away, one Jimmy Butler three-pointer away from making it to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years. They lose to the Celtics, and then they come into this year with basically kind of the same team. They lose guys like PJ Tucker, little pieces here and there, but they basically have kind of the same team. They paid Tyler Hero. And it was very tough this season, the regular season at least. A lot of injuries. Looking at some of the guys, Jimmy only played 64 games. Kyle Lowry played 55 games. Tyler Hero played 67 games. A lot of injuries. They had guys like Haywood Highsmith, and guys like them that really had to come in and play actual real. Like Orlando Robinson played 31 games in the regular season for this team. Like they just had a lot of guys that came out and had to play actual minutes in actual games because the injury bug was hitting them, and just inconsistency, honestly. Like the whole season, a lot of people had a lot of questions about the Miami Heat. Their offense really struggling. They're one of the worst. I think they averaged the least amount of points in the regular season. Their 3-point percentage is one of the lowest. They were just a very not good team in the regular season. For a lot of different reasons. They signed Kevin Love and Cody Zeller at the free agent, at the buyout market, and they also did make a trade at the trade deadline, which really surprised a lot of people. Everyone thought Kyle Lowry was probably going to be gone, or he were going to try to make some type of move to get better, but Pat Riley's stuck to his guns, and a lot of people questioned him for it. They make it into the play-in as the 7th seed, and they actually lose the first play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks. So now they drop, and now they play the Chicago Bulls in the 8-9 or the 8-10 game for the last playoff spot, and they were actually down 3 points with a little bit more than 3 minutes left to go in the second play-in game. But then Max Strus had an amazing game, and the Heat pull out a win against the Bulls and make the playoffs as the 8th seed. And everyone thought, they were playing the Bucks in the first round, who finished with the best record in the NBA in the regular season, and everyone thought it was going to be, easy. And then the Miami Heat come into the playoffs. And that's funny because I said it in my video that I made a few months ago before the season ended about this Miami Heat. They're the most odd team in the NBA. And I've said it this team is more of a playoff team. This isn't a regular season team. This is a playoff team. Very rare. But they're like a team built for the playoffs. Not that I think they were going to do what they did. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But I said in the playoffs it's probably going to be a lot different. They're probably going to look a lot better. And they really did. I mean, they came out in the first round and beat the number one seed in the entire NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks, in 5 games. Granted, Giannis did get injured and miss a few games, but even then, even when Giannis came back, they lost Game 4 and Game 5. Jimmy Butler put on an insane performance. He averaged about 35 points a game or something. Guys like Gabe Vincent and Kyle Lowry and them, Bam, were playing very solid. Hit shots when they needed to, got stops and steals when they needed to, and they beat the Bucks in 5. And that really just sent waves throughout the NBA of whoa, the Bucks are out. Here's more of the Bucks are out, and not the Heat maybe could do something. Because then they go into the second round, they play against the New York Knicks, and the Knicks would just come off beating the Cavs in 5 and just kind of getting rid of them. So everyone thought the Knicks might make it to the conference finals. The Heat come out, Jimmy doesn't even have to do much in that series because he gets injured and actually misses a game in that series. But Gabe Vincent, Bam the last few games, Max Strus, guys like those, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love, they come out and they beat the Knicks in 6. And now all of a sudden the Heat are in the conference finals in a rematch against the Celtics. And everyone's like, what the heck is going on? But now it's dang, the Celtics might have just got a free play to the finals. Nope. The Heat went up 3-0 on the Celtics. Jimmy, Bam, Caleb Martin, went crazy in that series. The Celtics did come back and force a Game 7, but the Heat took care of business in Game 7, and they beat the Boston Celtics, and all of a sudden, the Heat are in the NBA Finals for the second time in 4 years. As an 8 seed, the second ever 8 seed to make it to the NBA Finals. They won 44 games in the regular season. Didn't look great all regular season. Somehow come out and make it to the finals. Make it to the finals, and unfortunately, they just lost to the best team in the league, the Nuggets. The Nuggets just kind of went through them. They were running through everybody. The Heat losing 5. They had an amazing playoff run. You know, looking at the playoff numbers for this team, Jimmy averaged 27, 6 and 6, with just under 2 steals. He shot 46% from the field, 36% from 3. I want to talk about him really quick. I mean, he's a star in the playoffs. Regular season, he is all-star level. He's really, really good when he wants to be, but he kind of cruises through because in the playoffs, he shows like he has big moments and he's not afraid of the moment. He has some big series, especially in the round 1 series was insane. He had a 56-point game in Game 4 to give him a 3-1 lead. The second series, he got injured, so he didn't really play as much as he wanted to, but he still has some solid performances. The East Conference Finals against the Celtics, he started off really good, kind of tailed off a little bit at the end, but brought it back in Game 7 to kind of bring him to the victory. And then the finals, didn't have an amazing performance. You know, he had a lot of times where he was not as aggressive as he wanted to be, kind of settling for a lot of shots, not really taking over the game like we saw in the first few rounds. But I mean, despite that, Jimmy still came out and had an amazing playoff run, one of the best playoff runs by an individual player we've seen in a while. And just he's the key piece. You see why the Heat paid him that much money. It's like, dang, this dude really could take us too far in the playoffs. You know, in the 4 years he's been in Miami, he went to the finals in 1 year, lost in the first round the next year, then made it to the conference finals, made it to NBA finals. 3 of the 4 years they made it to at least the conference finals in his 4 years in Miami. So I mean, that's just showing something. Like he's amazing. Jimmy Butler is amazing, one of the better players, especially when it comes to playoff time in the league. And yeah, you just got to keep him around. And then Bam Adebayo. I feel like Bam Adebayo last year in the playoffs got a lot of criticism, especially, I mean, I was a criticizer of him. I don't think that's a word. Criticizer is what I meant to say. Because he was he wasn't playing as good as he was in the regular season. Came out in the regular season, had one of his best regular seasons, the best regular season of his career, had career highs and a lot of stuff, made the All-Star team again. Came into the playoffs, started off kind of rough, but then as the playoffs went on, he just started getting a lot more better. Especially the last few games of the Knicks series, he played really well. The first few games of the Boston series, he played very well. And then his entire NBA Finals, honestly. The NBA Finals, he was their best player. Like, he was coming out on offense, taking most of the shots. He was being really aggressive, taking about 20 shots a game, scoring from, getting to the line, hitting the mid-ranges, getting down low and scoring, facilitating for others, rebounding, defending Jokic. Like, he was just doing everything. They put a lot on his plate in the finals, and he really came out and showed, why he's one of the best centers. Honestly, he might be the third best center in the league. He might be, After Jokic and Embiid, Bam has a really good conversation to be in 3. He's definitely, I feel like, he's got to be in the top 5. When you think about it, there's a lot of pretty solid. You got guys like Domantas Sabonis, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony, depending on where you classify Towns, depending on where you classify Anthony Davis. But Bam has a really good shot being at least top 5, I think, in my opinion. But maybe number 3, who knows? He's just so versatile, can do basically almost everything on the court. It's very rare to find centers like him. And then a lot of the role players really stepped up a lot in the series. Caleb Martin, who I still think he should have been Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He was amazing. Kyle Lowry, thought the entire regular season was pretty injured. Only played 55 games. Was expected to be traded. And all of a sudden he comes into the playoffs and plays like the 2019 Raptors Kyle Lowry off the bench. Max Strus has some good moments. Gabe Vincent has some big moments, especially in the Knicks series and the Celtics series. He has some big moments. Duncan Robinson was literally DNP. Duncan Robinson only played 40 games in the regular season. He was literally just riding on the bench. And all of a sudden, Tyler Hero gets here. He comes in and has some big moments. He starts learning how to dribble the ball and getting to the rim, finishing on players. Like, I don't know where that came from, but he was solid. Kevin Love has some solid moments, even though in the regular season with Miami, he wasn't really doing much. He came into the playoffs, had some good moments. Like, the entire Heat team as a whole made it this far. Of course, a lot of the credit's gonna go to Jimmy and Bam, but the role players really brought him to the NBA Finals. Guys like, in the Knicks series when Jimmy was out, Gabe Vincent, having a big series. The conference finals, Caleb Martin having a big series. In the NBA Finals, they were trying. They had some moments. Like I feel like all the role players on this team had a moment in this playoff run. That's like, dang, like they really won them this game. It was amazing. Then Eric Spoelstra, obviously, probably the best coach in the league right now. I mean, he's just insane, taking this team that hasn't really done much, didn't prove anything in the regular season, and just knowing what buttons to push right, what position to put different players in, not being afraid to try things, not being afraid to make changes, doing all this stuff, and taking this team all the way through the Eastern Conference, through the Bucks, through the Knicks, through the Celtics, all the way to the NBA Finals, like as an 8 seed. Like it's insane what he did with this team, and he deserves all the credit in the world as one of the best coaches in the league. But now we go to the off season. They lost in the finals. They have some things they got to think about. One thing reported by Brian Windhorst actually yesterday was that the Miami Heat are going to go star hunting. They want another star to team up with Jimmy and Bam, because they know that this team doesn't have enough maybe firepower, enough star power sometimes to get through teams like the Nuggets, so they need another star. They want another star. Talks about, Damian Lillard has been talking a lot recently. He was on a show last week and he said the Heat are one of our destination I would like to go to. Well, not I like to go to, but if I get traded, the Heat will be a team. Even yesterday it was reported that they made a offer at the trade deadline for Kyrie Irving before he got traded to Dallas. So the Heat want a star. They want another star to team up with Jimmy and Bam to make up kind of a big three. And it's very tough just looking at some of the packages they could put together compared to other teams. The big one, of course, is Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero got paid a lot of money, had a very solid season, but then in the playoffs, he only played one game before he broke his hand, didn't come back for the rest of the series, and they made all the way to the finals, and now he looks a little bit more expendable. Not saying you have to get rid of him, but if the right package comes up and you want to get that extra piece, the Heat, after this run, might not be as hesitant or as kind of not willing to throw Tyler Hero in a trade package because of the money he makes, because of his role in the team, and just seeing what this team did without him. It's just kind of, not saying they have to get rid of him, obviously, but just like, if we want to get something else, we won't mind throwing him in a package, especially he has the money. And that's one thing about this Miami Heat team, that it's going to be very tough, I feel like, to get this next star player that they want if they actually are going for a star, because the one thing they do have is the money to make a match. I mean, Tyler Hero signed a 4-year, $120 million deal. He's still got a few years left. Duncan Robinson still has another few years left in his contract. Kyle Lowry has another year left in his contract, and they make a lot of money. Right there, that's a lot of money in itself, those three players. So definitely, if you're trying to get a guy on a max contract, he's a dude. No, they're guys that really can, you could put in, make it work. But besides that, to get a star player, it's not just about big contracts, To get a star player, especially nowadays, you have to have young players that have potential, that have shown some flashes of being really good, that should be all-star level, and you have to have pick equity. You have to have that. In Miami, I don't know if they have the last two things. A young player that has a star. No one on this team is young. Tyler Hero, I guess, would be that guy that has potential to be star. I guess he's 23 years old still, and he's shown potential of being, very good. I don't know about all-star level, maybe depending on what situation he goes to. But after that, they don't really have anything else that has, like, the young, they don't have anybody young on their team after that. Everyone on their team is, Bam is 25, but Bam is off limits. After that, they don't really have much. Nikola Jovic, depending on how teams, we didn't even see him play this year, basically. He only played in maybe 20 games this season. So we don't even know what he is. So it's very, very interesting to see how Miami's going to get to. And the picks, it's not like they lost all their picks, but they don't have a huge sum of picks compared to other teams like the Thunder, the Knicks, um, the um, the Nets even. Like, there's a lot more teams with a lot of better things out there than the Miami Heat. Looking at ranking teams based on like if if I had a star player that I wanted to trade, what packages I look at, Miami will be near last. I would look at the Knicks. I would look at the Thunder. I would look at maybe even the Nets. I would look at all those teams before I look at Miami. Just because of what they have. They don't really have a lot of the things that typical star player trades, you know, would you would want back in that. So it's gonna be very tough to see what happens. Especially also they don't have that much money, and free agency isn't great this year. Like after James Harden, but I don't know if I want to put James Harden in Miami. Then you have Kyrie, but Kyrie's most likely going back to Dallas. And after that, it's like, what do we really got? Fred VanVleet maybe could be a solid option. Because that also depends on, they do have a couple free agents going to free agency this year. As two of those guys are big parts of the championship run, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. They're both going to be free agents this year and are both expected to get paydays, especially after their this playoff run. So there is a possibility that both of those guys might not be back in Miami next year. And those are two kind of key roles that you want to have to fill in, for this team. So if those two guys leave, Fred VanVleet potentially could be an option maybe for Miami. I don't know about that. Getting some more 3-point shooting, obviously. Getting some more, maybe some better guard play. Maybe some more depth. High score, just scoring depth. Guys that can come off the bench and get buckets. Dudes like that, potentially. Because you also have Victor Oladipo as a player option that he probably can accept, and he's injured, which really is unfortunate. But this Miami Heat team has a lot, wants to do a lot, but doesn't have a lot to do a lot. What it is. Like, they want to get a star, they want to get a guy like Damian Lillard or Kyrie or potentially like that, but they don't really have a lot to do to get that type of player, The only thing they have on their side is that they're Miami, and Pat Riley is a mastermind, And maybe if another star player kind of forces his way to Miami, maybe they can make it work. Maybe they can do a sign and trade, something like that. I don't know. But this Miami team is very interesting because they shouldn't be as good as they are, but they are, And who knows how long this match is going to last? Maybe next year they come out and maybe they kind of take a step back. But then again, it doesn't even matter anymore because if they're an 8 seed, they can still make the finals. So it's very interesting what this Miami Heat team is. They're in a very solid place right now. They're not in a bad place, but they're not in an amazing place. Of course, they want to get better, and they're gonna have a few decisions and a few signings and stuff in free agency. So we definitely want to see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, this Miami Heat team really just proved everybody wrong. That's what kind of the Heat culture is. They prove everybody wrong. They work hard. They might not be as talented, but we're going to outwork you. That's what they do. And they did that to a T in this postseason. So all credit to them. And now, can't wait to see what they try to pull off in this free agency. That's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. We upset a lot. If you haven't watched any of the other look-in episodes, I'll put a playlist up. You can probably see it. Go watch that. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.